The 2021 family retreat, held at a serene beach house, was meant to offer a moment of bonding and relaxation for Joni Lamb and her family. Instead, it became the epicenter of a controversy that fractured the family and led to public scrutiny. This single event has since unraveled into a complex web of allegations, trust issues, and media attention, highlighting the pressures and challenges of managing personal relationships in the spotlight. An incident that divided a family. The unraveling of the Lamb family drama began with a deeply troubling incident during a family retreat in 2021, which sent shockwaves through the Lambs' close-knit circle and eventually ignited public scrutiny. Pete, a family member, reportedly found himself alone in a shared bedroom with Joni's granddaughter, a situation that immediately raised red flags for Jonathan and Susie Lamb, the child's parents. They described this moment as a gross violation of trust, and it quickly became apparent that the situation was far more than just an unfortunate misunderstanding. Jonathan and Susie Lamb, devastated by what they believed to be an inappropriate situation involving their daughter, expected Joni to react with the same sense of urgency and concern that they felt. Instead, they claimed Joni's response was dismissive. Rather than supporting their need for immediate action, Joni reportedly encouraged them to keep the matter within the family and handle it privately through prayer and discussion. This advice, they felt, served only to minimize the gravity of the situation. The child had disclosed details about the event, but after a private conversation with Joni, the young girl became emotionally withdrawn, refusing to speak about the incident again. Jonathan and Susie described their daughter as a lockbox, now silent on the matter, fueling their suspicions that Joni's intervention had either intentionally or unintentionally silenced her. This perceived silence, combined with what they saw as a lack of adequate action from Joni, led to a sense of profound betrayal. The Lambs' belief that their daughter's well-being had been compromised by the handling of the incident only deepened their mistrust of Joni, who, in their view, was more concerned about protecting family reputation than addressing the safety and emotional health of her granddaughter. Joni's response: misunderstanding or misjudgment. Joni Lamb, for her part, vehemently denied any wrongdoing in her handling of the situation. In a series of public video statements, she expressed heartbreak over her family's accusations, maintaining that the incident was a misunderstanding that had been blown out of proportion. She insisted that her actions, which included urging Jonathan and Susie to address the situation privately, were rooted in love and concern for family unity. Joni emphasized that the Lambs' shared faith in prayer and dialogue could be the key to resolving the issue without creating a public spectacle. Joni's explanation, however, did little to ease the growing rift between her and her son's family. Jonathan and Susie saw her insistence on handling the matter privately as an avoidance tactic, one that placed the family's image above the safety and emotional health of their daughter. Eventually, they were forced to set strict boundaries. Pete would no longer be allowed to be alone with their children, and he would be banned from their home entirely. These measures, the Lambs felt, were necessary to rebuild a sense of trust and safety within their family. Media coverage and renewed scrutiny. What began as a private family dispute eventually became a public spectacle when the investigative journalism outlet, The Roy's Report, began covering the allegations. The media coverage added a new layer of complexity to the already tense family dynamics. The reports highlighted that authorities initially dismissed the alleged abuse due to the young girl's refusal to speak about the incident. However, a 2022 counselor's report revived the case, prompting Texas authorities to reopen the investigation. For Joni, the media attention only amplified the emotional toll of the situation. She expressed frustration over what she saw as sensationalist reporting that misrepresented the circumstances. Daystar Television Network, where Joni served as president, took a hard stance against the media coverage. The network demanded retractions from news outlets it accused of fabricating or distorting the facts. However, the increasing media scrutiny only intensified the public's interest in the family's internal struggles, bringing further focus to the alleged abuse and the way it had been handled by those at the top of Daystar's leadership. Financial accountability under fire. As if the family's personal struggles weren't enough, Joni Lamb found herself under fire for another reason: allegations of financial misconduct. Investigative journalists uncovered expense reports suggesting that Joni had charged $100,000 to her Daystar credit card for her honeymoon trip to Los Cabos, Mexico, with her new husband, Doug Weiss, in 2023. The use of ministry funds for such personal expenditures raised serious ethical questions about financial stewardship within Daystar Television Network. Joni denied the accusations, insisting that the trip had been paid for using her corporate credit card points and that she had reimbursed the ministry for any expenses incurred. Nevertheless, the controversy reignited debates surrounding the financial accountability of religious organizations, especially those with multi-million-dollar budgets. Critics questioned whether Daystar's leadership, including Joni, was prioritizing personal comforts over the ethical management of the network's resources. Despite her defense, the scandal added to the growing pile of issues Daystar and the Lamb family had to contend with: termination and allegations of intimidation. In November 2023, Jonathan Lamb's role within Daystar was suddenly terminated, a decision he claimed was directly related to his efforts to seek answers regarding the alleged abuse involving his daughter. Jonathan's termination came shortly after a contentious board meeting in which he was allegedly pressured to sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Daystar, on the other hand, cited Jonathan's performance issues and his failure to meet an improvement plan as the reasons for his dismissal. However, Jonathan and Susie's claims went beyond corporate politics. They alleged that they had become targets of intimidation tactics, including being followed by a private investigator. In a video posted on social media, Jonathan confronted a man who admitted to being hired to surveil him and his family, but refused to reveal who had employed him. This shocking encounter only deepened Jonathan's suspicion that Daystar, or someone within the organization, was attempting to silence him. The revelation of surveillance and intimidation fueled accusations that the network was using coercive tactics to suppress the Lambs' attempts to seek justice for their daughter, Susie and Jonathan, facing unimaginable struggles. Despite the mounting pressure, Jonathan and Susie Lamb remained steadfast in their belief that the surveillance was part of an ongoing campaign to intimidate and silence them. They insisted that they were being targeted not just for their efforts to uncover the truth about the alleged abuse, but also for challenging the leadership of Daystar, including Joni's role. For Jonathan, the tracker incident was a turning point, one that reaffirmed his belief that God was helping him expose misconduct within the organization. This was no longer about protecting his position within Daystar. It was about seeking justice for his daughter and standing up for truth, no matter the cost. The breaking point: tracker incident and family rift. The breaking point for Jonathan and Susie came when they discovered a tracker had been placed on their company vehicle. Jonathan, who had access to security feeds as Daystar's vice president, checked footage after noticing unusual activity around the car. The video revealed Shannon Kelly, the head of Daystar Security, opening the trunk of his vehicle and reaching inside. This shocking discovery deepened the sense of betrayal Jonathan felt, especially after learning that his parents, Marcus and Joni Lamb, had been involved in preventing a thorough investigation into the alleged abuse. The original investigation, conducted by a forensic counselor in 2021, had been abruptly terminated by the Lambs, preventing a full inquiry into Pete's actions. This revelation shattered Jonathan's faith in his parents' leadership and shifted his focus from protecting his career to seeking justice for his daughter. The battle for truth was now a deeply personal one, with Jonathan and Susie increasingly vocal about what they believed was an attempt to cover up the abuse. The aftermath: seeking justice and facing retaliation. In the aftermath of these events, Jonathan and Susie Lamb sought professional counseling for their daughter, which led to a report being filed with Child Protective Services, CPS. This, in turn, prompted law enforcement to reopen their investigation into the alleged abuse. As the legal and media attention intensified, Daystar's leadership responded by retaliating against the Lambs, terminating family members who were still employed within the network and slashing salaries. On November 30th, 2023, Susie's mother, Tanya Segar, was fired from her position at Daystar. Shortly after, Susie's father, Jai Sagar, was demoted, his salary cut by $20,000, and he was eventually dismissed by mid-April 2024. Susie herself faced a drastic reduction in salary, while Jonathan was demoted from vice president to manager, his pay cut by $100,000. This pattern of retaliation against the Lamb family only fueled their sense of injustice. The couple felt increasingly unsafe, especially after another instance of surveillance in which a private investigator followed them during the summer of 2024. Despite repeated inquiries, Daystar did not respond to the allegations, leaving the Lambs to continue their public campaign for justice. Intimidation escalates. The private investigator incident. The final straw came in September 2024, when Jonathan and Susie noticed a purple car following them while they were out with their children. Upon confronting the driver, they learned he was a private investigator, but refused to disclose who had hired him. The Lambs strongly suspected Daystar's involvement in the surveillance, though the network never confirmed or denied their suspicions. On November 16, 2023, Jonathan was formally terminated by Daystar. The timing of his dismissal, on a Saturday, was seen by Jonathan as an intentional tactic to unsettle and intimidate him. This was the latest chapter in an ongoing saga of family betrayal, internal conflict, and the pursuit of justice. Joni Lamb's defense and legal countermeasures. Joni Lamb, in an attempt to defend herself, has categorically denied the allegations against her. On a recent episode of Joni's Table Talk, she dismissed the accusations as part of a fabricated narrative meant to harm her family. Daystar's legal team, led by attorney Michael DeAnderson, has threatened legal action against journalists like Julie Ross, accusing them of bias and sensationalism. As the public battle rages on, the Lamb family's struggle for truth and justice continues. The fight is no longer just about personal grievances. It's about holding Daystar accountable and ensuring that the truth about the alleged abuse is brought to light. The outcome of this dispute will likely have lasting consequences, not just for the Lamb family, but for the future of Daystar Television Network itself. Unveiling internal dynamics, audio recordings, and financial disputes. The turmoil surrounding Daystar has been fueled by a combination of confidential audio recordings and controversial financial disputes. The recordings, which emerged during an investigation by journalist Julie Ross, revealed troubling discussions within the network's leadership. These private meetings exposed concerns about internal matters, with certain decisions seemingly motivated by a desire to protect Daystar's image rather than address critical issues transparently. For many, these revelations added to the growing sense that the network, once a symbol of faith and hope, had become embroiled in a culture of secrecy and self-preservation. Among the most contentious of these revelations was Joni Lamb's honeymoon to Los Cabos, Mexico, in 2023, during which approximately $100,000 was charged to her Daystar credit card. While Joni later explained that the expenses had been reimbursed and that points from her personal credit card were used for the trip, the allegations sparked broader questions about the network's financial accountability. Investigative reports about this and other financial matters ignited a firestorm of scrutiny, with critics calling for greater transparency in how Daystar manages its millions of dollars in donations and funds. The controversy further complicated Joni's position as a leader, particularly as her credibility came into question at a time when the network was already under fire for other allegations. Revisiting the past. Parallels with earlier scandals. The current crisis within Daystar evokes painful memories of a scandal from 2010, when similar accusations of cover-ups and intimidation tactics were leveled against the network. At that time, the Lambs defended themselves by portraying the network as a victim of extortion, and many questioned whether they were using this narrative to divert attention from the core issues at hand. The echoes of this earlier scandal have now resurfaced, drawing attention to the possibility that Daystar may have fostered a culture of silence, where power dynamics and the preservation of reputation took precedence over accountability and transparency. For Jonathan and Susie Lamb, who have been at the forefront of these new allegations, the parallels to the 2010 scandal raise concerns about whether the network has learned from its past mistakes. Jonathan and Susie's determination to expose the truth and seek justice for their daughter, who was allegedly abused by a family member, has further intensified the conflict within the Lamb family. Their public outcry against the handling of the abuse incident has placed Daystar's leadership in a difficult position, prompting further questions about the organization's values and priorities. The road ahead: faith, family, and accountability. As the story of the Lambs' conflict unfolds, it serves as a cautionary tale about the complex intersection of faith, family, and accountability. The Lambs have faced immense personal challenges, with accusations of betrayal, intimidation, and corruption, dividing not only their family, but also their professional lives. Despite the pressure and public scrutiny, Jonathan and Susie have remained steadfast in their pursuit of justice. Their commitment to holding Daystar's leadership accountable and exposing alleged wrongdoing has become a personal mission, one rooted in a deep desire to protect their children and restore trust in the organization they once served. The unfolding saga has also placed a spotlight on Daystar's leadership, which has been forced to grapple with a series of difficult questions about its ethical responsibilities and the broader implications of its actions. While Daystar's public statements have denied the allegations, the mounting evidence, including the audio recordings and financial reports, has left many questioning whether the network is willing to confront its past and make the necessary changes to rebuild trust. Echoes of the past, revisiting Daystar's controversies. The parallels between the current controversy and the events of 2010 have raised significant concerns about whether Daystar has fostered a culture of secrecy and retaliation. In 2010, the network faced allegations of attempting to silence whistleblowers and critics through intimidation tactics. While the Lambs have defended their actions and framed themselves as victims of a smear campaign, the renewed allegations have once again drawn attention to the organization's internal dynamics and the extent to which its leadership is willing to go to protect its reputation. The current situation, which began as a family dispute, has evolved into a public battle with far-reaching consequences. As Daystar's leadership faces increasing pressure, the Lamb family continues to seek justice for their daughter and accountability for the organization. This conflict has cast a long shadow over the network's once celebrated legacy, prompting difficult questions about the ethical practices of faith-based organizations and the role of transparency and accountability in maintaining trust with supporters. The weight of public scrutiny. As the public battles between the Lamb family and Daystar continue, the weight of media scrutiny has only intensified. Joni Lamb, once regarded as a steadfast figure of strength and faith, now finds herself at the center of the storm. The intense media attention has placed significant emotional strain on Joni, who has struggled to balance her role as a mother, grandmother, and leader within the network. The emotional toll of the allegations and the public fallout has forced her to reevaluate her priorities and ultimately led to her decision to resign from her position as Daystar's president. The announcement: an emotional farewell. Joni's resignation, which was announced live on Daystar's broadcast, was marked by an emotional farewell that reflected the immense pressures she had been under. In her statement, Joni acknowledged the personal and professional challenges she had faced and the toll they had taken on her well-being. With tears in her eyes, she spoke of the sacrifices she and her late husband, Marcus Lamb, had made to build Daystar from the ground up. Her words conveyed a sense of loss, not only for the network, but for the personal journey she had undertaken alongside her family. Joni's emotional farewell also served as an opportunity for her to express her gratitude to the Daystar community. She thanked viewers and supporters for their unwavering faith and encouragement during the difficult months leading up to her resignation. Despite the controversies surrounding the network, Joni reaffirmed her belief in the mission that she and Marcus had shared and expressed confidence that Daystar would continue to carry on its work in the future, even without her at the helm. The toll of controversy. However, Joni's resignation also underscored the emotional toll of the ongoing controversies that have engulfed Daystar. The allegations of abuse, financial misconduct, and intimidation have cast a long shadow over the network's achievements, raising questions about the future of the organization. While Joni's departure marks the end of an era for Daystar, it also signals the beginning of a new chapter, one that will require a great deal of healing, introspection, and change. In her farewell address, Joni reflected on the personal cost of leadership and the sacrifices it often demands. Her decision to step away from the spotlight was a recognition of the need for self-care and the importance of prioritizing family in the face of overwhelming challenges. Despite the pain and uncertainty, Joni remained hopeful that her decision would pave the way for healing and reconciliation within her family. Gratitude and hope. As Joni bid farewell to Daystar, she expressed deep gratitude for the support she had received from the network's viewers and partners. Her words reflected a sense of hope for the future, despite the tumultuous circumstances. She acknowledged the challenges that lay ahead, but remained confident that Daystar's mission would endure, even if it meant navigating a new path forward. Joni's farewell speech was a poignant reminder of the human side of leadership, the emotional and personal costs that come with public service, and the responsibility of guiding an organization. For Joni, stepping away from Daystar was not just a professional decision, it was a deeply personal one that reflected her desire to protect her family and focus on their healing. The legacy of Daystar. Joni's resignation also prompted reflection on the legacy of Daystar and its founders, Joni and Marcus Lamb. The network, which started as a small faith-based television ministry, had grown into a global platform that reached millions of viewers. Despite the recent controversies, Daystar's legacy of faith and dedication to spreading God's message remains an enduring part of its history. However, the recent scandals have raised questions about the integrity of that legacy and the need for reform within the organization. Moving forward, as Joni steps away from her leadership role, the future of Daystar remains uncertain. The network faces significant challenges as it seeks to rebuild trust and address the serious allegations that have surfaced. The resignation of its longtime leader marks a pivotal moment in Daystar's history, one that will require a commitment to change and greater transparency. For Joni, her decision to step back represents a new chapter, one focused on healing, family, and faith. Her journey serves as a poignant reminder of the importance of integrity and accountability in leadership, even in the face of adversity. Public reaction. Joni's emotional announcement has sparked a wide range of reactions from the public. Many viewers expressed sympathy for her decision and praised her for prioritizing her family's well-being. Others, however, have called for greater transparency from Daystar's leadership and voiced concerns about the network's future. As the story continues to unfold, the public's interest in the outcome remains high, reflecting the widespread impact of the allegations and the ongoing debate over accountability within religious organizations. Conclusion. Joni Lamb's resignation marks the end of an era for Daystar Television Network and signals the beginning of a new chapter for the Lamb family. The challenges they face are significant, but their commitment to faith, justice, and accountability will continue to shape their journey. As the controversy surrounding Daystar unfolds, the world watches closely, waiting for answers to the questions that strike at the heart of faith, leadership, and transparency.